Next up, at UFC Vegas at 99, we have Sumudaerji taking on Charles Johnson in the featured fight of the evening. Sumudaerji 16-6 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5. He is on a 2-fight skid. Taking on Charles Johnson, 16-6 in his career as well, 3-2 in his last 5 on a 3-fight win streak. And Sumudaerji, a lot of people are just blowing right past him in this fight, but he's good. He's a fast striker, laser pinpoint accuracy, and solid volume. He does not have a lot of power, but because he is so fast and his movement is so good and he's so well timed, he can get stoppages. He has a great in and out style. He can out decision most people who are not looking to take him down. He has an impressive 100% takedown accuracy, but that is misleading because he only attempted one single takedown in his entire UFC career. He's coming off that submission loss to Tim Elliott, where he was taken down and submitted in the first round. He's taken on Charles Johnson, friend of the show, joined us 2 weeks ago. Well, Charles Johnson, friend of Jacob, joined us 2 weeks ago. Charles Johnson. He's a busy technical striker. Good takedown defense, really nice hand speed. He's got good output at almost 5 significant strikes landed per minute, and he can keep that pace for a full 15 minutes. He's 5-4 in the UFC. All 4 of those losses are quality and to people who just wanted to non-stop wrestle. He is one of the most active fighters on the planet, and he is looking for his 4th win in 2024. I mentioned he was on the show a few weeks ago. He took some fan questions, yucked it up with the boys, but he talked about the work he puts in, his cardio, that he used to be a track star, that he wrestled. And you see all of those skills. And while it's easy to say his takedown defense sucks because he fought a bunch of non-stop nasty grapplers, and he even turned strikers into grapplers. But the cardio has always been there. And a Charles Johnson who moves forward, a Charles Johnson who trusts the cardio, trusts his hands, stays in his opponent's face, wins this fight. Charles Johnson is the pick. I'm very confident in that. My one and only concern would be he lives in Orlando. That hurricane blew through. I don't know if he lost power, didn't have it for a week, couldn't train. And the last 2 weeks before the fight, I don't know if there's a factor there, but Charles Johnson is the pick. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, I'm all over Charles Johnson's fight. He came on the show and he talked about this fight and talked about picking, and he just lost. I can't believe he just lost that decision. He just ragdolled this guy everywhere. Whoever the judges are don't like the wrestling, but Charles Johnson came on the show and he talked about it. And a lot of people give him shit for kind of those past performances. Oh, he lost O'Day. He did this. He did that. And he said, I lost those fights, but a lot of those fights were short notice. I couldn't train. I couldn't run the way I wanted to. I was dealing with injuries. And sometimes, a lot of fighters will say that about their losses, right? They're always trying to make excuses of that. But when he says it with the conviction, he says it and says that he is ready for this fight, has had for the first time a full camp to be able to do what he wants and run the way he wants and have the cardio that he wants, and he said I have the best card in the UFC. When he said it, I believed it, and this is his one chance to show I am the guy that I said I am. A lot of people say that even that Joshua Van fight was a little bit of a fluke, right? You were losing, on the scorecards, even though he thought he was winning, and maybe you don't really have that type of striking, and this is the one to show it up and show it out. The thing I would say to Charles Johnson is just wrestle this guy early. I know that your thing is be undeniable and do whatever, but you have good wrestling. You know how to offensive wrestle, and Sue has no idea how to fucking wrestle. And even if it's not to wrestle the finish and be boring, take some pop out of Sue's fight. Trust your own cardio to be able to wrestle through these situations, get to the second round, and then you can probably knock him out on the feet. And honestly, Sue is so clueless, and you're so good, Charles, in the wrestling. Take him down early, mount the dude, just play with him. You can grab his wrist and make him slap himself with it. Why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself? That type of stuff. Put on a show for the fans. Be undeniable. We'll go to the second round and then knock him out. You have such a wrestling and grappling advantage. I would try to get this down to the fight, or get this down to the mat early, even if it's just to wear him down to find that finish in the second round. But I like Charles here. And he's also shown that he can take a shot too. So if Sue is able to snipe him, Charles isn't a guy that panics or gets knocked out. He might, if he gets dropped, he's going to be right back at it. And maybe that's when he initiates the wrestling. So, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think Charles is going to do what he says he's going to do, and that's make a fucking statement.
I agree. I mean, we saw him in trouble in the Azat Maxim fight, and he pushed through and took over and ended up winning that fight, and that's what really kicked off this run that he's on now. So, yeah, we're on the same page here. You mentioned, like, hit him in the face while you hit yourself. You didn't watch UFC back in the day, but when Randy Couture had Tito Ortiz fucking stacked and was just slapping his ass like bongos, it was heartbreaking. Because I was a diehard Tito fan. So that was just heartbreaking to watch. He was just like, oh, it was so embarrassing. So embarrassing. Either way, Jakey Boy and I are aligned here. $8,800 in DraftKings Fantasy, though. I'm going to have to look and see how well he scores in some of his fights. Because I don't know. For $8,500, I can get a big
dude. If he says what he says, or if he does what he said he's going to do, and the conviction in his voice about trusting his cardio and putting a fucking pace on these people. He even said, "Listen, Sue might have a good first 5, right? But I promise you, the second his feet slow down, I'm gonna be fucking all over." And I wouldn't be surprised if Charles Johnson comes through and gets a finish second or third round. It really makes a fucking statement.
Yeah. I mean, I'll have to look a little closer as to how well he scores in DraftKings Fantasy. That's a lot of money. But Charles Johnson did finish Joshua Van late in the third. Didn't see that coming. Hey. Charles Johnson is both of our pick. And if you do want to unlock all the picks, the bets, the artificial intelligence, the tools, and everything for an entire month, WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. UFC 308 is in 2 weeks, and there are 14 fights on that card. We do have a comment from Ree. He says, you guys should sell merch. We do sell merch. Shop.WeWantPicks.com. And we're going to be expanding that with millions in a little bit. But
guys,
for now,
the worst thing you could do right now is send super chats. Do not send any more super chats, because Anselo is going to be forced to read it, and that's extra talking, extra whatever. Do not do that, because then you can rest your voice. You don't have to read comments.